Hello, this is Suki, the Brown-Eyed Stitcher. You can find me on Instagram at the Brown-Eyed Stitcher, or obviously right here on YouTube, where you're seeing me now. This is Flosstube number 4, and I'm just going to dive right in. I piled everything but in a logical order, and we're just going to move right on through. So my last video was 3 weeks ago, and last week I wanted to make a Flosstube video feeling like it had been a really long time, and it hadn't been. So I don't know what that means for the future of my Flosstube videos. Like, am I going to want to film every other week instead of once a month? I don't know. Keep watching this space to see what I do. And in my last video, I hadn't talked about 2022 at all. I only talked about what I had done in 2021, and December was crazy enough. If you watch that video, you'll know what I mean. So December was crazy enough that I couldn't even really wrap my brain around what 2022 was going to be looking like. Probably in any aspect of my life, let alone my stitchy life. So, first I'm going to show you my socks. I knit these socks. These are my very first knitted socks, and I'm so proud of them. They fit, though they are big. I mean, they look big. They are big, and I did mess up on them, but I did figure out what I did wrong. So I just picked a pattern, and I went from the cuff to the toe. My next pair of socks, I'm going to try from the toe up and see if I like that. I figure I can just play around with it and learn what I like, but I definitely enjoyed knitting these socks. So where I went wrong, spot the difference between these socks. This is sock number 1, and here is the heel flap right here on sock 1. Here it is on sock 2. Can you see how sock 1 is really short, but sock 2's heel flap is like super long? What I discovered when I had knit the second sock is that you're supposed to, so you work, just in case you aren't a knitter in any way, you can work in the round or you can work in rows back and forth. So starting here at the cuff, I worked around and around and around until I got here to the heel flap. And then you just take a certain number of stitches and you work them in rows back and forth until until you do the heel flap and the heel turn, and then you like pick it back up. And so you can see how this stripe like goes along like that. You pick it up back there. And then you go around and around and around again. So at this heel flap where I'm in rows going back and forth, you're supposed to alternate what you do. So you have row 1 and you have a certain kind of stitch pattern, and then you do row 2, which is different, and then row 3 is the same as row 1, etc. So you just switch them back and forth between 1 and 2. I did that on the second sock, and I think on the first sock I missed the part where I was supposed to go to something else on row 2. I think I just did row 1 over and over and over again, and it created this, it just made it super thick, dense heel flap. But it's okay. It's the same number of stitches, it's just that this one's looser than that one. And ultimately, for a first pair of socks, it's not too bad at all. If that's like the only thing that I could see drastically wrong. Now I do know that there's some sizing problems, which I've already started doing a little bit of research into, so I know the things to adapt as I move forward with pair number 2. Like I said, pair number 2 is going to be from the toe up to the cuff. It's also going to be with a size needle smaller than this was. And those arrived today. My new needles arrived today. So I finished those sometime this month, in the month of January. And stitching wise, so January 1st, I kind of have to take myself back here. January 1st came around and I was ready to really get back into stitching and to feel just the normalcy of life again. So I picked up Treasure Hunt Bookshelf, but I'm going to show you that at the end because it's big. And yeah, well, not like the very end, but like the end of the things that I've worked on so far. Anyway, while I had started stitching that again, I was also reading this book, The Fellowship of the Rings, which is the first book to the Lord of the Rings, just in case you don't know anything about that. I highly recommend it. Just saying. So I was rereading this, and I got to this part in the book, and it's not going to give anything away. This part that I'm going to read to you. But Legolas is speaking, and he is an elf traveling as part of this Fellowship of the Ring. And the group reaches this point. And it says, before them they could see the stream leaping down to the trough of the valley, and then running on and away into the lower lands until it was lost in a golden haze. There lies the wood of Lothlorien, said Legolas. That is the fairest of all the dwellings of my people. There are no trees like the trees of that land, for in the autumn their leaves fall not, but turn to gold. Not till the spring comes and the new green opens do they fall. And then the boughs are laden with yellow flowers, and the floor of the wood is golden, and golden is the roof, and its pillars are of silver, for the bark of the trees is smooth and gray. So still our songs in Mirkwood say. My heart would be glad if I were beneath the eaves of that wood and it were springtime. And I read that and I immediately wanted to pull out the piece that is basically described in that. So this is Frodo and Galadriel by Matt Stewart. Let me see if I can... Well, that's as close as it's going to get. Okay, so Frodo and Galadriel. It's also called The Gift in some places. I'm not sure why there's two names for it. But this is Lothlorien that they're talking about. And this is Frodo, the hobbit, who is carrying the ring. And this is Galadriel, who is the Lady of Lothlorien. She's an elf. And I wanted to pull out this piece. So I did. And worked on it a little bit. In my first Flosstube video, I talked about the journey of this piece. In short, this is my oldest full coverage piece. It might just be my oldest, period. I started in 2016, but it's had a lot of breaks in there. So I started it out, this is 25 count Lugana, and I started out doing 2 threads over 1 full cross. And 2 over 1/10 stitch instead of full cross. And you can't tell at all. I have taken a close-up picture for people, and if you go to my Instagram and you scroll down to November probably, is where you'll see a close-up picture of this. And if you know what you're looking for, you'll be able to see it. You'll be able to see that the stitches are much denser here, but then out here, they're not. This is all half cross at that point. So I put in 1,700 stitches, 1717 to be exact, and so that is now at 3.27% finished. It's a pretty big piece, 300,000 stitches. So there's that one I worked on. The next one I pulled out was, oh, I know why I switched projects. So I'm part of, on Facebook, there is a group called Full Coverage Fanatics, and they have challenges like throughout the year and also monthly and weekend events. And this was a weekend event that popped up that I wasn't very aware of. But the theme was night sky. So the idea was just to pick something, a full coverage piece, of course, that had something to do with the night sky and stitch on it. So I picked Queen of the Night by Josephine Wall, charted by Heaven and Earth Design. And gave this some love. I got in just over 2,000 stitches over the weekend. Here we go. So this is now at 5.26%. And I know I got in quite a bit down here and up and through here. That's where the bulk of those 2,000 stitches. This is my smallest Heaven and Earth design that I've got going. It's only this big. It's a baby compared to anything else. It only has 153,000 stitches in that one. So it really does feel like a little baby piece. So I did that because of the weekend challenge in Full Coverage Fanatics. One of the other things in Full Coverage Fanatics is I limited myself on what I was doing in that group because I wanted to do all the things, but realistically I didn't want to track all the things. So I'm going to try to do the weekend events. I haven't looked through all of the topics, or the themes, so I don't know if I even have projects that I can make fit to all of them. We'll see. But I'm also doing, what is it called? Oh, whips and wonders. So you pair a whip with a wonder of the world, and they have a list of 20. And for each wonder, you stitch 5,000 full crosses on a project. If you finish a project, you can switch to another one for that wonder. But each wonder could be a different whip. So what I did was whenever I started another project this year, I just assigned it the next wonder. And I'm not even going to tell you, I don't remember what Queen of the Night is attached to, but because I'm doing tent stitch, I have to stitch 10,000 stitches instead of just 5,000. So I've only finished one wonder so far, and it's not on these ones. It's on my main focus. So I don't even know why I'm bringing that up right now, because that was me basically just saying I have these stitches going towards a wonder, but I haven't finished a wonder yet for that one. It is what it is. So after Queen of the Night, I pulled out Bubble Bubble, Chocolate Trouble, artwork by Randall Spangler, and these dragons are adorable. And I am stitching all the sky. My daughter is debating whether the moon is part of the sky or not. But I'm not to the point where that has to be a decision yet. So, everything in the sky. It's a really nice change of pace to stitch this one because there's so few colors that I reach for, and it goes so fast. So this is 25 count, which is also Queen of the Night. This is the same fabric. 25 count tent stitch, 2/1 tent stitch. And as you can see, I've done sky. So I think I finished down here, and then I worked in these branches and filled them in, and then I got the black branch here, and then I was filling that in. It's a fun way. The moon is, I think, kind of here-ish. There, this one feels big. It is a little bit bigger than Frodo and Galadriel at 378,000 stitches. But, oh, I got a lot done on that one. I stitched almost 4,000 stitches, so this is at 2.24%. Most of these, I just in those, I don't know, beginning stages. That's where most of them are, and that's okay. Next, to show you, this is not full coverage. Okay, so I have loved watching people's temperature charts. I've loved it for years. I actually first encountered it probably in the crochet world. Quickly saw it in the cross stitch world, but have never done it until now. And I saw one that I really liked. It's called Temperature Library 2. Sorry, I can't apparently hold this straight, anything. You can find this on Christie's Corner, which is an Etsy store. And it's Christy D. Clement. Oh, here's her Etsy shop link. Christie's Corner Needle. And that's where I got it. Now, one thing I like about this is that all of these little thingies in here, they're themed for the month, but she has a pack. I haven't bought it yet, but I'm pretty certain I'm going to. She has a pack of more of these things, so you can really personalize your bookshelf. So I haven't, like I said, I haven't totally decided. I do like these. I like them as is, but I kind of want to see what the other options are, and yeah, and have fun with that. So before I show you the progress I've done, I want to show you what I came up with. I wanted jewel tone colors, and some of you who follow me on Instagram saw my posts, and we discussed about these colors because I really wanted jewel tones, but I also wanted like 20 colors. I think I ended up with 18 colors. And this is what I've got. Hopefully you can see all of them. I love them. If you want to know what colors I chose, leave me a comment or message me on Instagram and I will tell you. I can also tell you my temperature range, but that might not work for you if you're not in an area like mine. But I'm happy to share this if you also love the jewel tone rainbow and you don't want to spend hours like I did figuring out what colors to do. So I don't actually keep these together, but I did pull them together for this video. So this is up to date through the 21st of this month. I did change the brown also from the color she had charted, though I think it's 938. I don't know. I'll have to go look it up. But this is what I have so far. I wish my outside lighting was just a little bit better cooperative. The dark purple, which is like this fourth book, this top book, and some over here, you actually can see a difference between the purple and the brown of the shelf in person a little bit better. It doesn't show up very well on camera. But that's what I've got so far. And as you can see, these are warm colors here. The January 1st was like 72 degrees, and the 4th day is my darkest color. It was like 32 degrees. So we went very far in 4 days. And you can see it got kind of warm, and then it's kind of just stayed. These are 50-degree days though, and then some colder. That's just what my weather is like. So those are 21 books, 21 days of 2022. The last thing I worked on was my treasure hunt bookshelf. This is a favorite, and I personally consider this my masterpiece. Like, that's what I call it, and my close friends also call it my masterpiece. So that is what a supersize max color focus chart will do for you, I suppose. So I don't know whether to just show it to you or talk about it, and then I don't know how to do this one. Here it is. Isn't that so pretty? Okay, I have a lot to talk about with this one, so I'm going to leave it kind of propped up here so you can see its gorgeousness while we talk. Actually, I'm going to show you the artwork just in case you don't know what this looks like. It's Treasure Hunt Bookshelf by Amy Stewart, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. And I am stitching this super size and max color because I required all the detail for this one. Let's see, all the details first. This is 28 count, 2/1 tent stitch. And I have put in over 15,000 stitches since you last saw it. I believe that the last time you saw it, I think I had her kind of outlined. So all of this would not have been here. I don't know how to, like that. There we go. Okay, it doesn't matter. You can just see what it is now. She is so pretty. I love her so much. This girl right here. So 15,000 stitches. I brought up the Whips and Wonders. And so this was assigned Aurora Borealis, whip number, or wonder number 1. And 10,000 got me to the end of that wonder. Now it's on, I think the Grand Canyon is assigned to this one. And I'm halfway through that since I've gotten 5,000 additional stitches. So how I work on this one. A lot of people are intimidated by supersize and max color, or just don't know where to start. So I like to take a little bit of time to talk about this. First of all, my scroll frame is, or my rods, whatever, I got them custom cut by Kay's Creation. I do not know if they still offer custom cuts, but you can reach out to them. What I did, because this is just what I did many years ago, 2017 maybe, is I said that I had, actually it might have been 2018, okay, it doesn't matter when it was. Oh look, the sun is like peeking out now and it's like messing with my lighting. I gave them the width of my fabric and said I need scroll rods to fit this. Here we go. And they said, sure thing, and sent me these. So you can see I have a little bit of space on the ends, so it doesn't go all the way. And I don't know how long this is, 10 inches maybe, but it just happened to be the perfect height for a bookshelf, which was perfect because I wanted to work on this shelf by shelf, and it perfectly fits a whole shelf in here. Now the first shelf, I talked about this in my, and if you want to see what the first shelf looks like, go to video number 1, because that is where I showed off the finish of the first shelf. But I stitched that one predominantly extreme cross country. So I was stitching one color throughout the whole shelf, and it wasn't until very close to the end that I just had this burning need to see everything finished. So I just started at this end of the shelf and like just filled it in all the way across. Now for the second shelf, what I decided to do, well, first I stitched down and then I just stitched all the way across because I didn't want to see all this blank fabric. And then what I did was I decided to go kind of like section by section. So I took this first book and stitched it down, and then I did this scene here, this stairway scene with this lady, and then I did a book, and now I am on this next book, and here's the edge of it. And I actually haven't, it's only when I make these videos that I reference the artwork at all. So it looks like I'm wrong. It looks like those are 2 books, which I was kind of wondering about because I was referencing the pattern and I saw this line come down, but as I'm stitching it, oops, I keep pointing the wrong way. As I'm stitching it, there's kind of this line right here where it's similar colors, but it feels like it's different. So it looks like this is 2 books. And there we go. 2 books with this right here. And let me show you what I'm talking about. Right here. I don't know if this will, oh, I'm sorry. I'm shaking this super badly. I don't think I can make this like focus at all. But it's 2 books. Oh. Did it almost? It almost did. Okay, so I might stitch these 2 books anyway, because what's going on here, is that there's a hummingbird in front of a window. So right here is a window with this hummingbird. And then here, spreading the 2 books, is a vase with flowers. So I think I'm still going to go ahead and stitch these 2 books together instead of just switching to the 1 book. And my camera is flipped differently because I'm trying something different. And it's messing up where I point. So that's my treasure hunt bookshelf. It is currently at 32.67% finished. Someone on Instagram pointed out that I was almost a third of the way finished, which I don't know, that blows my mind for some reason. So how I work on my pieces is that treasure hunt bookshelf is my focus piece, and my minimum goal, well, I guess I'll just say goal, but I don't mind if I exceed it by any means, is 500 stitches. Sometimes I don't get there. I think there's been maybe 3 days this year I have not reached 500 stitches. But I've always stitched at least a little bit on it. Once I hit 500, 500 or so stitches, I feel free then to move on to another piece, which is why I have all of these other full coverage pieces that have been out there. And my aim for that is to also reach 500 stitches within a day. So priority number 1, treasure hunt bookshelf. And then if I have more stitchy time, which I do. I do because I stitch like it's my job, and I'm dealing with recovery from a lot of things like burnout and post-concussion symptoms, I don't know, things. And so I stitch like it's my job because it works very, very well for my nervous system and my brain at this point. It's very good for my health. And if I don't, I go really insane. Oh, it got like super, super bright. What was I even saying? I stitch like it's my job. Okay, priority number 1, treasure hunt bookshelf. Priority number 2 is whatever other full coverage I've got going on. And then if I find myself with more time or headspace, I'll pick something else up. So like the temperature chart is one that I picked up because of that. So I say that because now I'm going to talk about my upcoming plans. I only pulled out stuff for like the next 2 weeks, or this week and the next week-ish, because that's as far as I can think right now. This is in a hoop already because I pulled it out yesterday and got it started. This is Father Christmas with Toys, Max Color. It is artwork by Yvonne Gilbert, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. And I love this Santa. I really wanted a Santa piece, and that is why I chose this one. Oops. Gotta get all my cards put away. This is on 28 count 2/1/10 stitch. Probably not much of a surprise that it's a 10th stitch there. And y'all, it's background. I just worked up here. But as you can see, it looks really, really crazy. No, I will open this for you. No, I'm not going to open it. Yes, I am. I'm indecisive. I can roll this back up, no problem. Oh, these things are super nice, by the way. They are silicone jobby things. Smart and cool silicone, like, cord ties. I can't remember the exact name, but they're really nice. They're meant to go around cables, and then they're magnetic, so they snap together. You've probably seen them around, but sometimes I get questions, and for a while I didn't know what they were called, so maybe you're also one of those people who also don't know what they're called. It's nice because I can use it as a needle minder on these pieces. So the story with this, see how crazy that looks? And so many of these are like waist knots. Okay, but it was just because I was trying out everything when I started this. Between Frodo and Galadriel, Treasure Hunt Bookshelf, which is actually a restart, and Father Christmas, I was trying out a whole bunch of different things. And I don't mind it, but it looks crazy. So this one I was doing cross country. These red lines that you see, these are page breaks to help me aid in my cross country journey here. And I was doing it the least amount of stitches to the most, which is why there's all of these waist knots, because I couldn't anchor them anywhere else. At least to end, because I started with the loop start. Anyway, but when I pulled it back out again, I didn't. I just worked in the front page, and I sort of work a diagonal cross country. So I use Pattern Keeper, and I have the diagonal lines going this way. And I just picked the first color unstitched in the diagonal, and I stitch it out wherever it makes sense for it to go. And then I go back into the diagonal and find the next color, and then I stitch that cross country wherever it makes sense for it to go. And that's where we are now. This kind of background, it's just completely confetti, and it makes no sense until it's done. It's kind of driving me batty, but that's okay. It's okay. This one I put in 4. Oh, I don't have numbers because I just started this. I just started it yesterday for this rotation. So that's Father Christmas. He was at 1.95% when I picked him up yesterday. I'll show you the artwork so you can see exactly where. It's like this corner where there's all of this snowy tree stuff. Oh, it started to focus and then it said, nah, dog, not doing that. That's hard confetti to work on. My Treasure Hunt Bookshelf, I feel like I figured out how to work on it and it makes sense to me, but that stuff is crazy. The other project I pulled out for this week is, oops, Where's my Mystery Town Stitch Along 2017 by Eric Shipley of Ships Manor. So I did start this in 2017, and this is not what mine will look like when finished, but this gives you an idea of what it could look like. This is somebody's finish of it that I printed out, so I could easily put it in my bag. And all I got done way back in 2017 was the background. Oops. Oh, I can't see. There we go. Here's the background. I'm struggling so bad. So this is mostly using Ships Manor floss, but not all of it is. I'll just show it. I'm gonna pull one out here. It's kind of a mess. I haven't actually worked on the threads for a while, but like this is patina, and they're just a lovely, they're cotton with some variegation in the, so this is Wild Rose. So the chart uses both the Ships Manor and DMC floss. This is kind of fabric. It's 16 count Aida colored cloud shaped. I have no idea if it's what you can buy, but it's by Ships Manor. I don't know, like I said, I have no idea if you can buy this fabric, but it's so pretty. So how this stitch along worked is that you got all the background at once, and then you have these different parts. So part 1 is over here, and it's this blue section. Part 2, 3, 4, oh, 3 is both of these buildings. 4, 5, and 6. And for the most part, you had a lot of option in what buildings you can go. So in this picture, it's a barn, but Eric also charted a church that you could go here. This storefront could be 2 different storefronts. You had a lot of different house options for these, and this could be a lighthouse or a windmill. And then you've got the hot air balloons up here. And it's too hard for me to tell you what, it's too hard for me to show you what it is that I chose. But I did make all my choices. My daughter helped me. And so I'm going to get started on the barn, which goes right here. That's what I'll be stitching, is the barn. So this week I will pull that out along with Father Christmas when I am stitching, like in the afternoons and evenings, really. Next week kind of makes me sad. I'm going on a trip, and I can't take Treasure Hunt bookshelf with me when I go. That's what makes me sad, is that my focus piece, whenever I go on a vacation or any kind of trip, I can't work on it. So I just always have to take other pieces instead. So the 2 pieces that are going with me, if I can open this, this might not be a surprise because this almost always goes on a trip with me. This is a Dimensions kit, Woodland Enchantress by Ruth Sanderson. And I'm using all the kit stuff, so 16 count gray Ada and whatever the dimensions cotton floss they use. I did put all of their threads on Annie Keepers. These stickers I used are removable, so I can reuse them when I'm done with this. I also have one for blended threads and the metallic. So I always like seeing how people organize or how they decide to stitch something up, which is probably why I show you guys too. But this is where she's at. This is the only chart I have where I park. I've played around with parking on other charts, but I don't like it on the other ones, but I do like it on this one, and I don't really know why. So I'm stitching it diagonally like this, and I park. And she's gorgeous. I love it. I hope that when I show you, when I film next, that I'll have made enough progress to where we can see a bit of her dress, like down here. Hopefully we can see a little bit of that coming through. The next time I film. And the other project I'm taking is a new start, but it's an old kit. So I could not tell you one bit. If you can get this, maybe like on eBay or something. But I got this in my mom had given me a bunch of stuff, and this is one of the kits. It's a sunset counted cross stitch called Peaceful Garden Path. The words say one is nearer God's heart in a garden, and being outdoors and in nature is very good for me, so I really like this. It's got a combination of full cross and half plus back stitch. It doesn't look like a very difficult piece, but I haven't looked too much into it. I haven't even sorted out the threads yet at all. Oops, what is? Here's a metallic thread from Woodland Enchantress. But what I have done is washed the fabric because it did have some staining in it. And you can still kind of see it, not in, you won't be able to see it probably. And I obviously didn't iron it, but I did wash the fabric to see if that would come out, so I knew if I could stitch it or not. And it mostly came out, and I'm happy with it. So I will be starting that while I'm on my trip. Oh, that's it. That's all I got, folks. And we're only 49 minutes in. So we're doing well, right? Are we doing well? I feel like I'm missing something in, like, I didn't write down any notes or anything. So here's what I got going on for me. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Full coverage fanatics. I'm paying attention to the weekend events and to the whips and wonders. So every full coverage has a wonder attached to it. And when I finish a 10,000, I'll just restart, like pick the next one. I feel fairly confident in doing that one because of the stitching I know I did last year. But if I don't get to all the wonders, I'm not like really heartbroken about it. The other one I'm doing just for fun is the 22,000 in 2022. I'm using Treasure Hunt Bookshelf because I'm going to get way more than, well, it's half stitched, so I need to stitch 44,000. I know I'm going to get way more than 44,000 on it in 1 year. So it's just fun to see the progress when I take pictures for these different challenges. And then I do have I have a rotation set up. But it's a rotation that really doesn't fully go into play until after May because I have Stitch Mania plans. And I feel a little crazy for having them, but I'm also really excited. But I'm not going to show you them until later because I don't have everything for it. But what I will say is I'm planning on the Mania, Stitch Mania. I want a different project for every day of the month of May, which means I need to start a whole bunch of stuff, which actually meant that I needed to buy a bunch of stuff. But there's been all of these things I've wanted to do. And I don't care how long it takes me, and they're not going to detract from my focus, my masterpiece. And a lot of them are also smalls. And so I'll finish those really quite quickly. But that's where the Peaceful Garden path, the kit, comes into play, is because I have it and it's ready to go, and I needed something to take on my trip, and it kind of fits within that rotation that I have going on, my weekly kind of rotation. That probably didn't make any sense because I'm only partially explaining everything because I feel like my brain is a little too scattered to even try to explain everything. But I do like explaining things and talking about things, so feel free to shoot me a message on Instagram if you want to chat. Anyway, I'm going to sign off now because now we're at 52 minutes, and I think I've spent 5 minutes jabbering on about, like, nothing much. I will see you all possibly in 2 weeks from now. At the very latest, probably 3 weeks. And if you want to see my daily progress on anything that I stitch, head over to Instagram at The Brown Eyed Stitcher, and you'll find me there.